I had 3 birthdays during that commercial.
It looks like you had 3 birthdays during that commercial. Too.
Oh, that hurt. Ooh, man, that was harsh.
It's all.
Oh, dude, that was so harsh. Hey, before we get started, real quick, we have a prize wheel up. I listed on our Facebook page today for all the prizes on the wheel. We had a couple things donated. I want to make sure everybody sees some new stuff donated here. So one is the coot decoy. They wanted them to test it out. It's a single coot decoy by your duck decoys. Figured they'd donate one. Somebody could test it out. If they like it, they can order more, which I thought was a cool idea.
What company?
We also got a cup here that was just donated. And the guys, if you haven't seen this cup, I am in love with this. I don't even want to fingerprint it. Look, I'm going to keep it in the plastic for you. But, so this is, oh, Chris got his up. The America.
I'll do that gone hunting one.
Can you guys see this? Here.
I like it.
American flag.
Very cool.
With the deer on.
Wow.
And it even has BSO right there.
Yo, what's the price on one of those?
So I can get these made for $25. If I order 5 or more, I can get them for $20.
Really?
So I don't know if you guys seen, but I ordered in.
That reminds me, Chris, I owe you money for the mini things.
So I ordered a couple samples. There's Big Sexy Outdoors. And on the back of Big Sexy Outdoors cup.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
I even put the new. She didn't charge me anymore. So
he says.
Well, I had her put that on. I didn't design it. So we're on the same track. I just had her put it on the cup. But Chris, might as well show yours off while we're showing here because we're going to be giving one of them away once Gone Hunting's in.
All right. Let me see if I can get.
Because I have one here ready to give away.
Do you?
Yeah.
Mine's filled now with raspberry lemonade because I wish I was.
Once Gone Hunting is out here and where it's being shipped, we're going to give one of these cups away for anybody that ordered the game and gets on live.
Sweet.
And you should have saw the latest update where I posted all the factory picks. They're going to be doing the cards and the dice this week.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty cool. Cups were donated by Shannon's Creations, Your Duck Decoys. Don't forget, Covert Ops has donated some items that are on there. Yeah, the beads, the scent beads. There's 2 different.
Not those other beads that have been used.
Yeah. Christopher.
Around the neck.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Rosary.
Yeah,
rosary beads.
What else was donated? Oh, and don't forget the salmon flies were donated by Skip from Casting with Skip.
Nice.
Do you have those? Can we see them?
Yep, absolutely. Let me dig them out of the bag. I actually ordered a $1,400 thermal, and I have to give this hat away because I wanted it so bad, so I know somebody else will want it.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
That is a cool hat. So it's my hat, but I'm giving it away. Here's, I'll show you some stuff while I'm digging through. Here's the BSO hat. Okay.
A classic.
I still haven't got my duck pattern one.
I have it. I swear, Brandon, I have it. I'm waiting to make you a T-shirt in your size before I ship it.
Oh, sure you are.
All right. There's your orange hat to give away. I have a BSO vest here. I have a sweatshirt. I have, give me 1 second because I just had in my hand, so I know they're here. So I have a printed BSO vest, and I have a BSO patch vest.
Nice.
Which these are a big hit. Everybody seems to like these.
You should get those with one of like the pockets sewn in the back, so you can put your upland game and rabbits.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal here. It's just to see if they were a hit. It turns out they're a hit. There's something here. Chris has something below.
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
That's a trout hammock,
dude. That is
rattle bags. I mean, I know. Look, we got stuff just flaring out here quick, but rattle bag. There's a rattle bag. There's a 5-in-1 bleep by Primos. Here is Outback Predator calls, which you guys have seen these. I got a ton of these.
Nice.
Okay. And flies. Dude, what did I just do with the flies? They were just in my hand. Hold on. They're probably in that bag, and I missed them.
You sure you didn't test drive them this weekend?
Yeah, right.
So these are trout flies in a case that's on the prize wheel. There's a bunch of nymphs in the bottom.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay, it comes right with a case, little flip. That's one. And here is salmon flies. Now, I have them in a bag right now. But here is all the salmon flies.
Wow. And Skip made these?
Yep,
How
Skip.
cool is that? How cool is that?
So, I mean, there's a ton of stuff in here. Again, Covert Ops. Actually, somebody won these from Covert Ops when we first did the giveaway.
Never picked them up.
I have one of each on the wheel. And they gave them back and told us to make sure they got given back to somebody. So,
Cool.
that's what we're doing with those. And I'm pretty sure that's it. I have, what else do I have here? Here's a BSO beanie in pink for the ladies. Huh? In pink for the ladies.
Or Chris, something for everybody.
You did say Chris, right?
Yeah.
The poor guy takes the wrath. But I think that's pretty well everything just kind of slammed in a pile here. But I have it all here ready to go. Oh, there we go. Tournament fishing game. Also, Chris has up for grabs. So Chris and I either get donated or we buy some cool prizes to give away. So before we get into the show, how it works, you get on here, you comment or like our live feeds, and we put your name on a wheel. And that's pretty well as easy as it is. So sorry guys, I see somebody liking, so I want to make sure I write their name down. And that's pretty well all it is. So tonight, what we're going to do is we normally use tonight's for the next giveaway. We're going to add tonight's
Right on
because we post it on Facebook to this giveaway.
Sweet.
So at the end of the show, we'll pull somebody's name. So stay tuned. We have a wheel set up with your name on. If your name on, I have all the prizes on, and the wheel will select what prize you win and who wins it. We have nothing to do with it. We just put everything on there and hit a button. So now to start tonight's show, you guys know Brandon DeShane from BSO. Okay, Brandon went on a snow goose hunt at 5 Lakes Outfitters, and it turned out his first day was a little rough. His second day turned out fantastic, and Brandon's here to tell you all about it.
Yeah. So as you guys already know, I've got the waterfowl bug, and I'm rekindling my love for that. And so after duck and goose season was over with, I still had the bug for it, and a couple of newbies that I took hunting this past year did too. So Joey, my buddy, he's I don't know, he's probably in bed by now. He gets up early and goes to work in Massachusetts. But super cool kid. He just started hunting with me this year. And I just said to him and my good friend Tyler, who hunts with me a lot, hey, you guys want to do a snow goose hunt? And they were all gung-ho. Unfortunately, Tyler couldn't get the time off from work because all they had was a middle-of-the-week hunt that we could book. So Joey said yes. He called his boss that minute and was like, hey, listen, I'm down, and let's do this. So it was right around $200 a man per day, so $400 for the 2 days, which if any of you guys have ever snow goose hunted, that's stupid cheap because to buy a decoy spread is about $20,000. To have a good snow goose decoy spread with blind, decoys, collars, the whole nine, it's about 20 G's. Like, no joke. I'm not.
I have a question before we keep going.
Yeah.
You're a big dude like me. Did they charge you double, or did they still only charge single?
No. They just skimped me on lunch.
Okay, fair enough.
So we were all pretty good sized boys. So funny thing is I felt like my shooting was kind of off this past season as far as ducks and geese go, and I didn't really realize whether it was guns or whether it was me. But it's been a while since I really picked up a shotgun. So fast forward a little bit, we're practicing shooting clays. Yeah, see, I need that gun for that. No, so we're practicing shooting clays, and within a week, I was right back at it to shooting good numbers. Like 140s out of 150, which felt good. And we were practicing, and the one guy shows up, Rob, And he shows up with this old little shorty slam fire Winchester 12 gauge, and I mean, he's not hitting anything with it, right? So that day he went out and bought a Remington 870 and got himself a nice pump gun. The next week he shows up with a Benelli Nova, and it's just been this spiral of like every 2 weeks he's buying a gun, right?
Wow.
So he's in love with shooting clays with us. Well, then all of a sudden he's like, I've never eaten any geese before. I've never hunted anything other than deer. You think there's room on that hunt? And I said, yeah, I can call him and ask. And you guys know I invited all of you guys first.
Yeah.
Dude, if it wasn't during the week, we would have been all over.
I get it.
Dude, I was disappointed I couldn't make it this year.
I get it. So anyways, I said, I'll call Zach from Five Lakes and see if I can't get another guy on there. And he goes, yeah, sure. So that was pretty cool. So Rob, he got his federal duck stamp. He got his hip survey, the whole 9 yards. And I called my father. And my father is not a wing shooter. He's not that kind of guy. He hunts deer, but he loves trapping, as you guys already know. And he's like, well, listen, my dad knows how I roll, because if it was by myself, I would have never booked a hotel. I would have just wheeled out there, slept in my truck that night, boom, been up the next morning, hunted again, and went home, right? And my dad goes, are you booking a hotel? And I said, I'll tell you what, Dad, I'll book the hotel, and I'll pay for the hotel, but you buy my dinner each night. And that's exactly the way we went with it.
Oh my God, the poor guy was broke.
No, I really don't eat that much, guys. Y'all think I really don't. So I just read it. That's all. So anyways, that's what happened. And my dad decided he was going to go, so he got his duck stamp and everything. And we ended up having a blast. Oh God, don't say that. Come on, Ralph.
Hey, you better take that as a compliment, Brandon.
Oh, please.
Ralph, those are fun.
You're gonna have to get little sexy on your arm or something.
Yeah,
okay.
Big
Sexy's taken.
Taller sexy. Yeah. So oh God. So yeah, I got a hold of Zach. We got all this all set up. And so Zach and his brother-in-law run Five Lakes, and he's got a bunch of guys actually from Pennsylvania somewhere that work for him, going out and getting your geese after you're done shooting them. So unfortunately, for our first hunt, we were supposed to be with his brother-in-law, and he came down with COVID. So that shut his hunt right down, and it sent all the guys scrambling into where are we putting the guys who have paid for these hunts. So the first day we ended up going with a friend of Zach's, and he already had 8 guys in his blind.
Whoa.
And it kind of, I don't want to badmouth him because hunting is hunting, right? But we kind of felt like we were the afterthought, like, oh, you're just the add-ons. These are my other guys that originally booked a hunt with me. And it worked out, but it didn't. So we set up. Everybody was nice and cordial about everything, but it was -1 degree wind chills because it was during that big storm. It was cold. And we sat in an A-frame with a canvas front, canvas back, and it had little buddy heaters in it. Well, my buddy Joey froze and left at 11 o'clock. There was some bad calls, but I understand as a guide, it's hard for you to be on one end of the blind with 14 guys or however many guys in between you and where we were. We had 5-6 geese right over the top of us at one point that we could have shot within 15 to 20 yards. And that guide couldn't see them from his end of the blind. So they never got called, never got harvested.
That's tough.
Too bad.
How many times did that happen?
So that happened more than I'd like to say. Like it happened probably 4 times. And then there was a single that came in, and I didn't even let him call it. I just popped up and shot it. I don't want. I'm that guy, I guess. So that single came in. We popped up and shot it, and then a 2-pack came in, and I shot one. Another guy from the other hunting party shot one, And then actually we got a banded on the first day, but it was on the other end of the blind. So in total, we ended up shooting 4 geese on the first day out of 12 guys.
Wow.
Which really was terrible. I harvested 2 out of those 4. I did not shoot the bandit. I knew that right off the bat, so we weren't fighting over that. So
now, how many did you see the first day, Brandon? I don't want to interfere with you here, but
I'd say we probably saw 35 to 40.
That's it all day.
Yeah, it was bad, but the storm was also rolling in. Like birds were staying low, and when they came in, they were low, fast, and flying. I mean, they weren't hanging around to mess with decoys. They were coming in, buzzing you, and leaving.
So I've never seen in person seen a snow goose setup. Can you explain? Like you said, it's $20,000 for a good setup. So what does that mean? Like what?
So you're looking at anywhere from 1,600 to 4,500 decoys.
Wow.
So,
for snow geese, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. This flock right here in this picture that you guys are looking at on here,
I think this is a video, ain't it?
Is that the video? There's a couple videos.
There you
so
go.
That's not even a quarter of the birds. Like maybe not even an eighth. There was about 3,500 geese in that span. Like right there, you're seeing maybe 500. There was probably 3,500 behind that.
Wow, look at there.
Spinning and dropping in.
That's amazing.
Right. So you can get big spins of Canada's, but a big spin of Canada's is 150, 200 birds.
Yeah.
This is 3,000.
That's crazy.
So it was pretty funny because the first day we just didn't see anything. I mean, and I'm all about shooting singles and doubles and triple, like whatever we have to. But like my buddy Rob had been watching YouTube videos of like what they call like monstrous snow goose rainouts, where you get a big spin of 4,000 geese and guys just unload their guns and 10 birds fall out of the sky, 20 birds fall out of the sky. That's what Rob was expecting. And on the first day, when you only see 35 geese, he's kind of like, well, I had fun, but, and I'm like, I get it. So at the end of the first day, when we packed up, literally the other 8 guys from their hunting party took my 2 birds. They just took them, right? And Rob made more of a fuss about it than I did. I mean, this is his first waterfowl hunt, first anything other than deer. And he's like, hey, Brandon shot those 2 birds. And I'm like, Rob, just let it go, man. Those are 8 guys that just paid $1,600 to go home with 1 goose breast per man out of 4 birds. Like, I go, just let them do their thing. Tomorrow's another day. And, the more he thought about it that night, the madder he got, because we all shared a hotel room. Like, he's like, them SOBs, they stole your geese. And I'm like, Rob, just let it go, man. Tomorrow's another day. It's not a big deal. And, I was a little ticked about it at first, but then I was just like, by the time I got done thinking about it, I'm like, they only hunted one day. We're hunting another day. Let's see what tomorrow brings. And, let that be in God's hands. And they got their bird. They paid a lot of money for them,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a $200 goose breast per man. That you think about that, that's a pretty expensive piece of meat. You can get Wagyu for cheaper.
I don't want this to come off wrong, but I ain't spending that much money for breasts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Here we are, and that's sped up pretty good. But yeah, you can see there's quite a few birds in there.
That's wild.
Yeah, so the next morning was awesome. Zach was awesome. He's the guy who runs 5 lakes, and he was our guide the second day. And we ended up hunting with 2 other guys, and I'm trying to think, Ed and Cody were their name, and they actually run African safari hunts. Which is really cool. They're out of New York. I got their business card. I'll post it up at some point on Big Sexy.
Absolutely.
On the Facebook page. They were saying it's like, we can talk about that after, but they were super nice guys. And I brought a stack of shotguns with me. I think I brought 4 shotguns all together. My father brought 1. Joey brought 1. Rob brought 2. And I'm glad we did, because half the guys' guns fell apart.
Really?
And I know what waterfowl hunting is, and goose hunting especially is really hard on shotguns. So, in my opinion, if you own a Mossberg, don't even bother getting in the blind. That's just my personal opinion. I will hunt with anything but that, basically. First day, Joey's gun, first shot, boom, pump came right off that thing right in his hand, fell apart. Thank God I had a spare semi gun. So I hand him a semi. The second day, my father's Mossberg fell apart. He ended up running my other pump gun. Actually, Zach has a 940 Pro. That thing fell apart while he was hunting with us. So we were in the blind. I brought 450 rounds of ammunition, a can of WD-40, and 2 cans of brake cleaner. And like, I know that you got to strip down your guns sometimes or soak them in oil while you're doing this stuff. I had one malfunction on my semi gun, and literally it was because I had snow in the lifter and it froze the lifter. So it shot the first round and wouldn't lift the second.
Oh, wow.
Soaked it with WD-40 and we were back in business. So we get there, whatever. We set up just at daylight. The 2 other guys brought double barrels, which was fine, but they could only get 2 shots off. And basically the first flock came in and we put a hurting on them. I mean, we did. We shot a bunch of them out of there. I shot at least 1 bird with every shot except for one. That was a follow-up shot. And I actually shot my limit this day. I shot 25 of the 66 birds that got shot.
Wow.
And
Dude,
we
that's
just
awesome.
had a good time.
That's intense, man.
Wow, that's a lot of geese.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So Joey's here all the way to the left as you're looking at it here. Yep, that's Joey. I always wear face paint, so that's me behind him. I am like serious about face paint when it comes to bird hunting. I mean, straight up Sasquatching it right there for you, Ben.
I literally was going to say you look like a Sasquatch.
Dude.
I couldn't even see. I was waiting for you to snap at a Jack Lynx.
Oh God, I probably was actually eating a Jack Lynx or something. I probably was too. So
that's a lot of birds, dude. Holy moly!
Crazy.
Yeah, we were putting the hurting on them. That was the second highest limit with this outfitter this year. We were 2 birds off, which is still pretty sweet. So there's my father over here on the other side of the 4-wheeler. That's Rob, the shorter guy. Cody and Ed are the 2 guys that we hunted with. They run like the African safari deal.
Wow.
Yeah, just super nice guys. They were cool to hunt with. I mean, my dad and Rob had a blast. It was super funny because I don't know if you guys have really waterfowl hunted a lot, but there's times when the sun hits the birds just right when they're cupped and they're committing, and they literally look like angels dropping in from the heavens.
Yeah,
so
they're shrouded.
Yes, they're beautiful, dude. It's so like majestically beautiful. I'll get to that, Ralph. So literally these birds, there's 2,500 of them dropping in in the second spin. In the first spin, there was a couple hundred, and my dad was like, holy crap. And, you know, of course, those guys who've never hunted geese is like, this is more birds than we saw all day yesterday in the first spin. And so they drop in. I think we shot 5 or 6 out of the first spin. And the next group comes in, and you can see the swarm from 15 to 20 miles off. And they're just raining in and raining in and raining in. Wow. And they just kept coming. And my dad looks at me, and he looks back over, and he looks at me, and he's like, when's he going to yell, take them? And I was like, once the whole spin is here, and they start making they make like a big tornado and drop in nice and easy. And just at that point, the clouds parted and the sun was hitting the middle of that spin, and it looked like 2,500 angels just dropping in.
Wow.
And at that point, Zach yells, cut them. And we all stand up and we shot, and we rained out, I think, 10 or 12 birds out of that deal.
Wow.
So my dad sits back down and he looks over at me and he goes, I get it. I get it. He's like, that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, I told you, like, you know, I told you that's how it was going to be. And he's like, it was incredible. Just that moment, my dad shot 2 birds out of that, and he was like, "Yeah, I can go home now." Like he was like totally cool with everything. He was at peace with it, and
of course he was at peace with it. You said they looked like angels, and you were shooting them. Your poor dad thinking, "Dear Lord, save me."
He was done, man. I mean, they did. It was amazing, and so after that second spin, we had a pack of about 15 blues come in. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen blue geese. I sent him a picture there.
Yep, there's a picture somewhere. I know he has it.
And so these blues come in. They were on the tailgate of my dad's truck. So the two on the right are juvenile blues. This one all the way to the left, there's a funny story on that bird. And then the other one, we don't really know who shot those ones, but I know damn well that I shot the one on the left because he's got a busted wing. So this pack of 15 came in, and I ended up shooting 2 white snow geese out of that, and these other 3 ended up falling to the right. And then we didn't see any more blues for most of the day. And all of a sudden in that big wad of about 3,500, there was that one lone blue right there that I shot. And
wow,
he's spinning at the top of the spin, and Joey's sitting next to me. And I laughed. I go, "You see that blue up there?" And he goes, Yeah. I go, "I'm going to shoot that blue." At that point, that blue was 350, 400 yards in the air. I mean, he was up there. And within 10 seconds, he dropped hundreds of yards of elevation. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but what happens with snow geese is when they need to drop elevation fast, if the wind isn't blowing at that second, they flip upside down and they free fall. They literally will free fall. And then they flip back over when the wind kind of picks up a little bit, and they catch themselves and continue in the spin. And that's part of the reason why they spin is they create their own slight wind where they can do that if they have enough geese. And you'll just watch them kind of flip upside down, and they'll free fall one by one. Well, that blue fell to about 60 yards in front of me. And as soon as he yelled, "Cut him," I shot that blue. And he went down. So these 3 of these birds are getting mounted, and we shot a rust-colored one that's getting mounted also, which would be pretty cool.
Dude, that's epic, actually.
Yeah, it was just like so incredible because I pull up as soon as he yelled, "Cut him." I mean, I was on that blue like that, and I shoot him, and Joey stops shooting, and he's like, "You shot that blue. I can't believe you shot that blue." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I told you I was going to shoot that blue." And he was like, "Yeah, when you told me that, he was 500 yards away." And I was like, "Yeah, he was there." I was like, "He ended up right in front of us, man."
Dude,
And
that's awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
Dude, who would have thunk that? So I had no idea that they would create those cyclones. I have seen ducks do that. I've seen mallards that are coming out of a hole, or they're just trying to stay out of each other's way. And it is really something to see, but I've never seen. I can imagine it's just that much more amazing with white geese.
Oh yeah, I mean it literally it's amazing to watch them drop in.
Dude, look at them all.
Yeah, oh yeah. We had the whole. So this blind setup is really cool. That's a 40-foot storage container.
Hey, before we go, answer Ralph's question for him so we don't forget.
Well, I mean, we can get to the cooking aspect of all this, but they taste amazing. They are awesome. They taste like a sirloin steak. They're just like Canada geese if you cook them right. It's funny because Rob actually has never eaten geese. So when we were here at my house breasting him out the next day, he was talking about it and everything. And I was like, "Hey, you guys keep cleaning geese and I'll go cook for a minute." And so I did. I cooked them a goose breast, and he come out, and, all the old timers tell you, "Oh, they're oily, they're greasy, they're what's the sky carp?" People call it sky carp all the time, right? Whoever says stuff like that is A, either never eaten a goose, B, has eaten them, but they were not cooked by anybody who knew how to cook, or C, just doesn't have a clue what they're talking about. They really don't, because they're amazing. They taste like a sirloin steak. We turn them into meatballs, meatloaf.
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, dude, if you take 4 goose breasts and 12 ounces of bacon and grind them together, And then
I can see Ben's face going.
All right, and then
Add me a bacon. I'm just gonna say.
Add your Italian seasonings. Add all that stuff in, and because you need the fat to be able to render them as you're cooking meatballs.
Are they pretty lean?
They're extremely lean.
Wow.
Especially snow geese. So snow geese, because they fly so far, and because they're in such big droves
by the
of them,
time they get here.
Exactly. They've already eaten everything they can, and they're just picking scraps. So they're not like big fatty birds. There was a few that we could tell were locals that didn't really leave, and they were quite larger than the others, but they're not super fatty. So you got to just go ahead and add some fat to them if you're going to render them into any sort of grind. So the breasts themselves you can cook, but it's literally less than 5 minutes to cook them.
Wow. What's
my man.
True.
That's my man right there.
I get it. But you have to have either that bacon or pork fat in order to keep them from drying out when you're trying to make meatballs or meatloaf.
What's the yield off of one average bird, would you say? Like per breast or altogether?
I'm gonna say you probably get 2.5 pounds just breast off of them. Canada's you're probably getting close to 4.
Yeah.
Like, big good sized Canada breast, about 2 pounds. So they're definitely smaller than Canada's. My father did not know that when we hunted them, and he was like, I've never even seen a snow goose. And he lived in Minnesota for most of his life. But he never waterfowl hunted, so he never look, if you don't see him if you don't look for him.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a couple in here that like in the middle that you can see are quite round, and the rest of them are pretty flat.
Got like fourth row back or something.
Yep, fourth row back. That one kind of in the middle. That one's pretty big. Yeah, that one right there. There's a couple that you could tell were locals that were real big fatty geese, and the rest of them were pretty small.
Did you guys end up cooking anything in the blind? Well, like were you cooking up geese?
So we're not allowed to cook the geese up in the blind because the outfitter wanted to wait until the end to take pictures.
Makes sense.
Breast and bacon, I'm in. Absolutely, man. So but they did cook in the blind for us. The first day we had breakfast and lunch in the blind, which was awesome. There was venison sausage burritos for breakfast.
Ooh.
And venison hot dogs for lunch. And in the second day, it was venison kielbasa and cheeseburgers for lunch.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So, getting back to the blind, though, the blind is awesome because it's a 40-foot storage container. And in there, they had a whole little bar shelf with a Blackstone grill, 2 big heaters. There's actually a TV on the other end that Zach can hook and use his phone as a hotspot. And he was saying that the last guys were watching the Bills game while they were in there and stuff. Like, they were having a good time. But, yeah, just an awesome setup. There's a coffee pot in there. It was a good time.
Dude, that is one thing I love about waterfowl hunting is it's so social. And I love the deer hunt. I really love deer hunting, and that's what I spend most of my time doing. But it is not a social event.
No, not at all.
And the waterfowl hunting is like pheasant hunting. You get with a bunch of your buddies,
exactly,
and you laugh, and you just hope like heck something comes flying in so you can fire some shots.
Absolutely. But the saying, you're on the X. When you're in a good waterfowl spot and you are on the X, you're where they want to be. It is just amazing. There's nothing like it. I don't care if you're by yourself or if you're with 20 of your best friends. There's nothing like it. I've had super cool hunts where I was by myself and have, 13, 14 Drake mallards drop in. I've been on hunts with a ton of guys where we had awesome stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of cool memories to be made with your buddies, and there's just cool stuff to do. That is a really fun aspect of waterfowl hunting.
I used to have some good spots, Brandon. I haven't had any in a long time, but
Well, get on it, Ben. I'll come down and slam him.
Dude, I would love to. I got to really spend some time searching. A lot of people around here don't want you hunting them. They love them in their yard. It's weird.
Yeah, there's a couple people up our way that are like that, but
I used to have some spots. I'll tell you, Chris and we used to sit there and they'd come flying down. Now, I never shot a snow. It's always been a goal of mine. I buy the snow license every year, but I've never got lucky enough during the snow season to get one. I've seen them in the Canada season, but
yep.
I had a mallard spot with a guy from Tower City. I won't say his name, but dude, he had one of the best spots I ever mallard duck hunted in my entire life. When we go up there and watch hundreds of them fly over us and just land right on top of us, we'd be sitting in the cattails on a chair. We had a chair that we sat inside the water in the cattails and two dogs in between us just waiting. And it would be like, hey, you want to shoot? You want me to shoot? No, you go ahead, you shoot. Doof, doof. You know what I mean? It was awesome.
We've got definitely have a few spots like that too, and it is fun. It is a cool social event. But even if it's not a social event for you, get out there and get it done. It's really fun. So
and then we had somebody get stuck in the silt.
Well, that happens, dude.
Up to their waist.
Brandon, listen, Brandon, I know this is your story, but you have to hear this because you are never going to believe us if we tell you.
You won't believe it.
Let's
Go ahead, Chris.
So we were out, and it was because we live in coal country. It was at a coal breaker, and we were shooting geese as we do, and these two people came in, and we knew them, And I won't say their names because it's way too funny. But the guy, we're sitting there talking with the guy, and then his wife comes over and she sits down next to us, and then she went to get up, and I guess she hit a soft spot, sank to her waist. Every time she struggled, she was just getting deeper. Meanwhile, we're crying, laughing because
my God, I felt so bad. I had tears rolling down my cheeks.
He didn't feel bad.
She was stuck.
Big stuck. Yeah.
When I tell you stuck, I mean, she was stuck.
I'm not saying we had to get the fire company, but
but you're getting there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we pretty well did. We pretty well did.
So
we had to put a rope around her.
Pull her out. That's hilarious.
It was horrible. I felt so bad, but I mean, there was no getting her out. You know what I mean? There was no.
You can see how bad he feels.
Wow. So that happened to me this past year in one of my walk-in spots, and my buddy Tyler was with me. And what happened was I was sinking as I was trying to step, and there was a blowdown in the water that I couldn't see, and I tripped over it, and I went backwards, and so I landed in the mud. There was only this much water, but 4 foot of mud. And so I landed backwards, and I'm sitting and sinking as I'm going, and I've got nothing to grab a hold of. So I literally unracked my shotgun and pushed it down to the butt stock, all the way down through the mud. I cleared the mag tube and everything with mud, pushing my gun in there, and finally hit hard pan and was able to push myself back up and break the suction. So when I get out, Tyler looks at me and he goes, dude, there's no way you're going to be able to hunt now. And I was like, we're going to strip this thing down right now. So I stripped it, and where there was clean water, I just kind of gave it a once over. It was a pump shotgun, a once over, and I slapped it all back together. And every time you'd rack the pump, it would go gook, 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 with water and crap in it. I shot 3 ducks that day with that gun. Like, it had no problem running. But every time you racked it, it made the glug noise like an old water thing.
All right, so listen, everybody's going to want to know, what gun was this? Let's hear it.
It was an H&R Partner, like the cheapest shotgun you can buy. Pump, 28-inch barrel. They're basically like a Remington 870, but cheaper. And they're tough, man. I will take that gun. It shoots, and it's just a beater, and it takes all the abuse I've ever given it. It's amazing.
Wow.
Well, I I love my 870 guys. So when you're making fun of Remingtons,
I'm not making fun of Remington, dude. I
that
got a
3.5
Remington.
inch mag, I killed more things with that 3.5 inch mag.
Did you not just see the picture I sent you of the 870 with a
I
14
did.
shot
I
tube
did.
on?
I did.
Come
Dude,
on,
that's
man.
my favorite gun. I shoot so much stuff with that.
We were talking about that a couple months ago. Like that was my first gun was an 870, and I still hunt with that. It's a 20 gauge, but
It's
I
tried
love
and true, man.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
Tried
bulletproof,
and
man.
true.
It always runs. Doesn't matter what kind of condition.
Yeah, it
Just
don't care.
goes.
Those 870s do not care. Jesus. Ugh.
Chris is sending signals.
Gross.
He's like, guys, I haven't had dinner yet.
Yeah, right.
Is that him trying to get Cheez-Its to sponsor us?
Yeah, there you go. Or Lipton tea.
Yeah.
Or Lipton tea? Or what's the other one? Grabber screws?
Contractor bag.
Grabber construction screws.
Hey, we'll take whatever, Chris. That's a good, smart idea.
Yeah, too funny. So we ended up.
I got to ask. There's going to be questions. We're already at 42 minutes, so I'm going to ask mine. Well, is there a certain call you guys use when you're snow goose hunting in this scenario?
So snow goose hunting, and just like this, the September Canada season here, you're allowed to use e-collars. So I believe they were running either the Snow Pros or Fox Pro, which is like an affiliate. I mean, Fox Pro is obviously the main company. Snow Pro is the Snow Goose collar. So you're allowed to run e-collars. I think I want to say he had 4 speakers out there in the spread. Oh, that was one thing we were talking about was the decoy spread, and I was saying how many. Yeah. So the decoy spread for this is you can run Canada decoys with your snow goose spread, which is actually a really good idea because Canadas tend to commit in smaller groups than snows will. So if you have a pack of or a flock of Canadas coming in with snows behind them, if you can get the Canadas to commit to the decoys, you'll probably get the snows to commit to the decoys also. Sure. So you'll have family groups of Canadas in the spread all over the place. And then you'll have, I want to say Zach had 2,600 snow goose decoys between full bodies, socks, and wingers. And then close to it. Ugh, those are the nastiest things ever. So, and then close to, I think he had 600 or 700 Canada goose decoys, but like in different areas. Sure. So,
but he broke them up separately. Is that what you're saying? Like he broke them up in individual.
Yeah, there was not like I think he might have had one random Canada in the middle of the entire snow thing, just to kind of be like, "Hey, this guy's an idiot," you know, like look at this one, just to kind of maybe distract from, you know, oh look at all these white socks out here. Basically, is what they are. They're like windsock. And he had full body socks, silhouettes, the whole 9 yards.
So what, like in this situation like this, like is this like a chocolate chip cookie where there's like snow geese is the sort of like the dough, and then like the Canadas are the, or is it like something more like?
So basically, you obviously can't shoot the Canadas while you're snow goose hunting.
I see.
So his family groups of Canadas were on the outside of the snow goose spread. So your heart of this basically body of spread is all snow geese. Okay. And basically what he built was you were 30 yards from the decoy to the first, from the blind to the first set of decoys. That was a monstrous strip of socks, full bodies, all this stuff. And then it kind of made like an M basically with 2 holes for hopeful landings basically. Okay. And then there'd be a gap, and that gap would have 2 or 3 family groups. And when I say family groups, I'm talking, for me, it's a full Canada spread, 100 geese of Canadas in those big wide open, and then another set of snow goose. And like it just kind of was all over the place, but it works out perfect because the idea is to try to get them to land in that open M, that you know, the void space there. Right. Snows are very tricky to get to decoy, and it hardly ever happens. And Zach was saying in the 5 years that he's done this, he's only had snows decoy once all the way to the ground. We had it happen twice in one day. So
Wow.
literally they came in. We had at one point almost 700 birds on the ground, and we ended up actually ground swatting a ton of them. And I am 100% for ground swatting, because if listen,
100%.
I know there's guys that say it's not sportsmanly, but if your decoy spread is good enough to get them to finish to the ground, it is an honor, and I tip my hat to those who will ground swat with me.
Absolutely.
When it comes to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, I've got no qualms with ground or water swatting for that matter.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand the mentality of it, because at the end of the day, you're out there to enjoy yourself, and you're out there to get some ducks or some geese to take home.
Yeah.
And if you have accomplished that by getting them to land in front of you, all power to you.
Yeah.
And
guys
I'm with Brandon. It's no different than calling in a spring gobbler.
Absolutely.
10 yards. It's no different. You put the work in. It is you accomplished your goal, completed at its fullest.
So guys talk about, decoying birds. That's like the big talk in the waterfowl world all the time, or in the turkey hunting world also. Yet they'll be like, I can't believe you water swatted that. I can't believe you ground swatted it. And it's like, you son of a gun. I decoyed that sucker to 30 yards.
Absolutely.
And he finished at 30 yards. You better believe I'm water swatting him. You better believe I'm ground swatting him, and they're like, oh, well, you didn't shoot it while it was flying. Well, yeah. No, he was on the ground. Way easier shot.
I didn't have to.
Exactly.
Well, there's a lot of places here in Ohio, too, where, quite frankly, you're hunting in just drainage ditches.
Yeah.
And so you might be 12 feet below the skyline or 10 feet below the skyline. You can't even see them. And, you've got a very narrow window that they can see your decoys.
Night, Ralph.
And then once they decide they're going to come in, you might not even see them until they're 3 feet over the water.
Yeah.
In which case, you're not ready to take them. And so, you just let them land and you knock them off the water, because
Absolutely.
it ends up being more ethical and it's more effective.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I got no shame in it. They can judge. I'm okay. I got no shame. I've done it a zillion times. I do it a zillion more.
It was funny when I first started hunting with my buddy Tyler. He goes, are you okay if I shoot one off the water? And I was like, dude, I'll shoot two off the water if they make it there. And he's like, all right, I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Now, I'll be honest with you, Brandon, and you can answer yours and Jasmine yours, but so I want to say, even on the water, my favorite is just before they hit the water and their wings are about right here.
Cupped.
Oh, absolutely.
That's my favorite, man. It's like glory from heaven, just coming down and saying, watch me. I'm just waiting for that. When they open them wings up and feet touch the water, boom!
You just start to watch the ripple happen in the water, and that's what I'm shooting usually. But it's funny.
I'm usually in pretty tight spots when I'm duck hunting, and so I won't let them. If I can, I'll try to catch them maybe 4 or 5 feet over the water. So because my decoys, they're usually landing within 10, 12 feet of my decoys, and I don't want to shoot my decoys, so I'll grab them right over the top of them. But what you just said, Ben, last year was this last season was a terrible season for me for ducks. I didn't see hardly any ducks in the area. We had some local birds, and it didn't get cold enough to freeze the big water, so they didn't come into the inland creeks and stuff like that. So any of the places I had permission, I couldn't go. And I was out of town, and I was on that South Dakota hunt when the best kind of time of the season was going in November. So I just totally missed the window. So I only had one duck this last year. And I went in totally I'm just going to go enjoy the morning. Sun comes up. It's just me by myself. And just I was getting ready to it's probably been there for 2.5, 3 hours. Nothing was moving. I had seen one single mallard go over maybe an hour and a half before. And I thought he might come back. He might be loafing around. And sure enough, he came back around. I heard him behind me. And then you hear that little whistle.
Yep.
And then he comes back around and he just comes in and just cups right down. And I'm on a deep creek. And he just cups in. The sun is coming out. It's just right on his breast. You could see his head and everything. Just so beautiful. And just one singular thing, I was like, oh, cool, pop, and just like,
Yeah.
and he just kind of spiraled in towards me and landed like right in the water in front of me. It was
Those
like,
are the
dude,
best, though, man.
one of the coolest hunts I've ever had, and it was just one time.
Absolutely.
You know, people probably think we're the biggest jerks in the world because we're here talking. Every one of us has now said something along the lines that they look angelic.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful, and it always ends with boom.
It doesn't. You know what though? It doesn't always end like that because opening day, Tyler, myself, and his cousin Joe, a different Joe, we hunted the river and we had these 3 wood ducks come in, and we totally got picked off. And I was the guy on the very far end, and by the time they figured out what we were, they had flared. And this hen, I mean, she drilled a hole in me, staring me dead in the eye.
Wow.
And like I'm talking breast, wings flared sideways with her head down,
That's
staring
so cool.
right at me like, hey, I see your ass down there, you know?
Yeah. Nice
and I
try.
was like, I couldn't even shoot. Like she was just so comical in the way that she did that to me. I mean, she just did me dirty like that, and she totally left, and it was awesome, and I was in love with the whole experience. And I think I shot 2 mergs that day, and that was it. Like it was like, holy crap. So
that's awesome, man.
It's just really cool when you get to see nature like that. And you know, for my dad, for him to see that second spin where the sun hit him just right and everything, and you know, he pulls up and we all shoot and everything. And he sits back down and he goes, I get it. And I was like, okay, I'm glad you feel what I'm feeling. Like,
absolutely.
Because to me, this is more than just, you know, I have a hard time hunting with my brother because there's not a lot of emotion to the way he hunts. And, you know, it's a ha I wounded this, or ha, you know, it's bad usually. And, but he's gotten a little better over the past few years, so maybe we'll give it a shot again. But my dad, the excitement that he gets when, like, my dad doesn't get to hunt a ton, and like he one year shot a spike, and he called me on the phone. I mean, you could hear the phone just about rattling in half. And he's like, "Hey, I got a deer! I got a deer! I got a deer!" You know, and I'm like, "That's cool, Dad. I'll be over to help you." You know, and it was kind of the same thing for him on this, but it was more like the calming emotion. Like, I get why you do this. It was amazing to see that. Like,
it's like
this
peace.
is an experience I may never have again. And it just
was an understanding, Brandon. I wasn't even there, but by listening to you, it was an understanding of your love and passion for waterfowl.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
that's
and
cool.
You could see the same. I mean, I've had squirrel hunting with the sun coming up, you know, in the tree, and they just kind of looking at you, and you know, you make your shots and everything, but there's something about it, you know. There's a godly appreciation in me towards these creatures and why we do it. And you know, it's funny. So we posted these pictures, and Joey has some very over opinionated from the other side type of people in his family and friends on his Facebook. And we were called gluttonous pigs right off the bat over this picture, right? And so the reason why the limit on snow geese is so high is the fact that there's so many of them. And their migration ends on the northern tundra where they have a breeding season, where they breed and everything. The fact that there's so many of them, when they get to the northern tundra, any bit of vegetation that is there to eat gets completely wiped out. And because these are migratory game birds, they're not considered natives. So they're actually starving out native populations of animals there. So they want us to hunt them to try and get the numbers in check to keep them from starving out these native creatures on the tundra. And they're just destroying the tundra up there.
It's like locust.
people don't understand that. So this is what they consider a conservation hunt. And I went on to explain to this woman that, the limit was 25 birds per man per day with no possession limit. And there was 6 of us in the blind plus the 4 workers and Zach. So we could have shot, almost 500 birds. Like, by the time you did the math. So 66 is nothing compared to what we could have legally.
So how many boxes of shells?
I think.
Night, Jim. Thank you.
I want to say altogether, it was roughly 8.
Okay.
I shot 2.5 boxes myself, but I also was handing my gun off for the guys to go hit cripples or do whatever. And if birds were going down that weren't even hit by me, that were in close enough range, I was shooting them also. But I brought the ammo for everybody, and they just all pitched in on that. And,
3.5, 3-inch.
We were running all 3-inch.
And then what shot?
Double B.
So BB,
Yeah.
that's what I normally shoot. Double B. Some guys shoot triple.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know we're getting to the end of our time, so I just want to make sure I follow up on what you were saying though, Brandon. Like, it is really interesting. We experienced the same thing. We talked with test tally. Like, all these issues are so complicated. There's so many different things that are going on, and you're hunting a global species. Like, it's not a localized thing. So it's not like you just walked into the local fish pond and threw a stick of dynamite in there and wiped everything out. You're contributing to something on a bigger
scale than most people will ever understand.
Exactly. And I think it's really cool that you recognize that. Hopefully she recognizes that and has.
She actually did. She went and she went from her sad, teary face and calling us gluttonous pigs to, oh, I didn't know. And I was like, yeah. So before you jump in, and of course you just enlighten somebody on something, so you don't want to be shitty towards them and be like, yeah, before you go and drop comments like that, check your friggin' facts. No, it was like hey, before you decide to go in and figure out, you see 6 of us standing here, and there's 66 geese. Each one of us took home 11 geese. That's even less than the Canada limit that I can get in September, right?
Yeah.
So she just doesn't understand that, this does look slightly gluttonous maybe with all this lineup of geese and all that and everything. Mm-hmm. But it's the grip and grin pictures that get people all the time, of the harvested, we're smiling, we're all having a good time. I shot these beautiful blue geese, whatever. But the fact of the matter is these guys are really starving out native animals in a certain area. And we're here to help, and we get sustenance out of this. And we just had a damn good day of having a bunch of buddies together hunting, and had a blast. And my dad got an experience that he may never get again, although he says next year he's going to go again. So it's just a cool time,
As Tally says, guys, knowledge is everything.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have 2 cents to give without any knowledge of what they're giving. So
exactly.
Being able to give the information, that's one of the reasons I like doing what we do here, is being able to give the information and answer questions and keep people knowing that there's a conservation in this. It's not just, hey, we're looking to kill 66 snow geese today.
Yeah.
There's actually a point behind it. The same as Tess Tally with her giraffe. A lot of people say, why would you kill the giraffe? But what they don't realize is all that giraffe fed, why the giraffe was taken. That giraffe would have been killed whether Tess was standing there or some other guy down the street. It's not about those things, and a lot of people just need the knowledge in it.
Yeah. My wife and I have this conversation a lot, and it goes back to a lot of these people are okay with going to a fancy restaurant with their suits and dresses on and buying an $80 steak, but they're not okay with me posting a picture of harvesting a bird and knowing exactly where that bird came from and what I actually did for the environment by harvesting that bird. They're not okay with that. For whatever reason, they want to take out the doom and gloom aspect. of their steak that they're eating there.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is that Angus was raised on a farm to go to a slaughterhouse to get killed so that they could have that steak. Where this is wild. I'm helping the tundra. I'm helping all sorts of stuff.
There's really no difference from that steak just jumping on my plate already slaughtered to harvesting it yourself. And that's what people, I like what people say about, well, you should buy your meat in the store.
Yeah.
What do you think? Nobody thinks that animal got killed there before it got there? I mean,
they just don't know.
I hate using this word, but a lot of it is ignorance of unknown.
Oh, straight.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing wrong with
it's ignorance, but it's ignorance and unknowing the knowledge of it. So,
well, and then some of it is that willful ignorance, where it's like they just don't want. They just don't want
to fight you.
And I think that's what gets me more than anything, because I'm such a curious person that I want to know why somebody, like, why do you believe that? Like, how were you raised, or what did you see in your life that made you feel however it is you feel, or whatever it is you think. And so,
or what were you sheltered from in your life?
Yeah,
I find it's more or less the sheltered from, not the what did you see. It's the what didn't you see.
Exactly. And that's and there's like, but understanding that is so fundamental, and understanding so many parts of life. And there seem to be a fair number of people who would rather just, like, rather than have a conversation and even begin to understand why whoever they're talking to has their opinion that they do, and why they have their own opinion that they themselves have, they would rather just say, nope, this is the way it is, and sign off. So, yeah, I love that about this show. I enjoy creating dialogue and having opportunities to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people just shut that down in their mind, because if it doesn't get talked about, it doesn't exist, and I can go on and enjoy my steak. Or chicken or whatever the heck they're eating. And even the vegans, though, I mean, to plant soy and kill off all the stuff, you're killing off worms and bugs and turtles and snakes and mice and rats and anything that could be out there.
There's no stopping what
there's
they're saying.
There's no stopping it. There's just no stopping it, and they don't understand that. Which, you know what? If you want to keep hiding behind the fact that you think it doesn't happen, go for it. But I'm willing to broadcast that it does happen, and it happens at my hands, and I'm the one who gets to decide when the trigger gets pulled.
Amen.
Exactly. Just amen to that, and try and make good, clean, ethical kill shots. And if you can't, finish it off quicker than snot, just get it done. And, just go out, have a good time with your buddies, introduce people to the outdoors, get them involved, get things involved. On that note, also, youth turkey season's coming up, and my two kids seem to be like MIA. So if you guys know anybody in this area in New York State with a kid that wants to go youth turkey hunting, I'd be more than willing to take
Brandon, why don't we put a post up? I think that would be fantastic. Maybe you can even video it for him.
Yeah, that's what my game plan was. I have not heard back from the two kids. The one kid just doesn't seem interested, which is fine. And the other kid I haven't heard back from. So
all right, well, why don't you and I get together tomorrow? I have a game. After the game, message me. We'll put a post together.
Yeah.
And we'll try to get something up. You can give me the dates. I don't know New York States and
I believe it's 22nd and 23rd. I can actually check it right now.
The other thing is, before we call it quits, Chris has something up. I see what he has up. Sorry, Chris, took my glasses off.
Chris is still alive?
Yep. Before we call it quits, we got to do the wheel, but I also want to ask you this, Brandon, for any viewer that I know we're losing most of our viewers about 10 minutes ago. Would you do this again?
I already booked it.
Okay. So, your first day was rough, but your second day made up for everything.
Dude,
so I just wanted to make sure.
Hunting. Even if the second day was rough, as long as it wasn't quite as rough as the first day, I would do it again.
Well, I just want viewers to hear that. I think that most viewers need to know that just because you had a bad day doesn't mean it wasn't a great time.
Yeah. And I also know that I'm a diehard. Like, even if my buddies and my dad didn't go, I would have booked again and went anyways. So that's just who I am as a person. Like, when I get fixed on something.
Did you book a weekend?
But it's amazing, and it was awesome. And we already booked for the same 2 days.
Did he book a weekend? Jazz Fair, was it a weekend?
I did not book a weekend, guys.
Jazz Fair, you see what I'm talking about, Jazz Fair? You see what I'm saying? No, a year in advance. Do you see how he thought of me and you?
You're welcome.
How about Chris? You think of Chris?
What do you think, Ben? Should we do our own thing?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm a little bummed right now. I'm not going to lie. Chris, thoughts here, quick.
I'm pretty much free whenever, dude. I work for myself.
You know what, Chris? Go back to where you were.
Hop on, Chris. We got this.
The only caveat is Chris only has a crossbow. Chris only has a crossbow, though, so that's his.
No, Chris has some guns.
I've got lots of shotguns,
and I'm sure Brandon will let him borrow some at this point because we just told Chris to go to his other screen. So.
I bring 4 shotguns on geese hunts like that.
Yeah, that was smart, dude. That was a handy little tip there.
Dude, I was a hero for having a can of WD-40.
Oh, I believe it.
I'm talking M2.
Hey, there is nothing like a Sasquatch with oil, fellas.
Oh, you're not kidding, buddy. That blue and yellow can just gets her done.
It's true. Everyone loves a well-lubricated forest critter.
A well-lubed Sasquatch.
It's true. A little bit of brake clean, a little bit of lubricant, good to go.
Wow.
There I am.
There's Brandon.
That's me right
Who's
there.
Who's that dragging Chris?
Yeah.
It does look like Chris. I think that's Brandon and Chris on their imaginary goose hunt.
Next year, buddy.
Look at that guy's hat. That is Chris.
It is.
Who's dragging Chris, though?
Yeah. Guys, I'll tell you what, you're pretty good on your toes there once in a while.
I got to get warmed up. This is the last thing I'll leave you with. There are Canada Goose layout blinds
tricks
that are just massive models of Canada geese.
Yo, buddy, that's what I use.
Yeah, dude, people slay out of them, and I honestly, every time I see them, I'm like, it's got to work great. But they're
cool. They flip open. They're awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I've been using since I was about 14 years old, and they slay geese.
I'd love to get the creator of them on here, Brandon. That's your job. Work on that.
Yo, Lucky Duck Outfitters, man.
Well, I'm going to let you work on them to get them on here. I'd love them to come on with Jasvir and all of us.
They're not the original creators, but they bought the patent to that. And actually, between you and me, I have one, and I just copied it and made my own with the welder and some tarp and all that good stuff. But
that's fine as long as you're not giving them away or selling it. So
yeah, exactly, dude. So
yeah, he didn't copyright anything. Beep. No,
nothing. So every time I find those Magnum Goose shells on Facebook, I buy them, because they're stupid money to buy those things and to have them shipped. So whenever I find them on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, I'm on them like that because I make the chairs out of them, and I love those things.
That's awesome,
guys. I'm going to pull this wheel up if you're okay with it.
Let's do it.
Let me pull this baby up. Share screen. Let me see. Share. Can everybody see me?
That up, I'll just do a quick plug here.
Can everybody see that wheel quick?
No.
I did it again, Chris.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, you could see it?
Ooh. All right, we got it. We can see it.
All right. My daughter wants to spin these wheels, so I'm going to bring her over to. She's still awake. She has to spin wheels, she said. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to let her hit this one to pick who wins it.
Ready?
Yep. Where's my phone? I got to take a picture.
Ralphie.
Well, I'll tell you what that is, boys. That's a man who gets on every week to watch. So, and enters his name every time he does. So
that's awesome. Nice.
Yep. So that shows you getting on here and just throwing one comment out. Put your name on there more times. So, Ralph Alderson, you have just won. Click that button.
The unbiased party has to click it. That's good.
What has Ralph won? Round and round we go. Where it stops, no one knows. Looks like it's going to be a rattle bag, fellas.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay. So there's your winner for tonight. Ralph Alderson has won I'm going to stop sharing here, guys. Give me 1 second. Stop sharing. So Ralph Alderson has won the rattle bag.
Sick.
So there you go. Like I said, we got these little prizes up. It's nice. We get to give them away. People donate. We purchase them. It's kind of my favorite part of the show. We just kind of get to give something out and help somebody get closer to the outdoors.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And speaking getting closer to the outdoors, just a reminder, on April 17th, we're supposed to have Megan Lockwood on. If you guys remember, Linda White came through Trapper Girl.
Yep.
This is actually a friend of hers that got involved with Women in the Wild, which is a group that that Linda is a part of. And they do some really cool stuff. They do create a lot of awesome opportunities for women in the outdoors. And Megan is going to be joining us. That's the plan right now, 17th, so that we can just kind of pick her brain about her outdoor history and just what she likes to do and kind of learn a little bit from her perspective. So really looking forward to her. You can find her on Instagram as well, and we'll put some links up throughout the next couple of weeks so you folks can find her and kind of check her out before we talk. So really looking forward to that conversation, and stay tuned for more.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having her. Megan's actually coming here to Auburn, Pennsylvania, with Linda. So I'm hoping to go out. Me and Chris are hoping to go out and meet all of them, get some pictures with them, get them up on the site. We'll probably drag my daughter with if we don't have a game. So we're super excited to meet them all in person as well.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a good time. So everybody that's watched tonight, we appreciate you. We thank you for watching, and God bless every one of you. Brandon, Jazzbear, thank you for joining us and telling the stories and your questions and your info. And guys, we're going to call the night from here.
Yeah. God bless. Have a good night.
Right, God bless everyone. Good night, guys.